Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
There is no political solution, just the battlefield. This, the warning from Syria's key allies, as reports claim armed forces are massing around the besieged city of Aleppo. The World Health Organization has appealed to both sides to allow those desperately needing medical help safe passage out of the rebel-held east. 250,000 people are trapped there, while just 35 doctors remain. Here's our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson.
Backed by the relentless airstrikes, several sources are confirming tonight that Syrian government ground forces have attacked into rebel-held East Aleppo from the north and the south today. The white helmet civil defence rescue teams on the streets of the east of the city, the rebel-held area, to rescue those caught in the airstrikes and shell fire, as they do night and day. And civilians, 250,000 of them, caught up in the wider effects of warfare and siege in East Aleppo.
I don't know what to say. Our hearts are full of fear. May God hold the tyrants accountable. My eldest son is 6 years old. I wish for security for our country, just like we had it before, to be able to move freely.
What's at stake is huge. If government forces with Russian support take these streets, Syria's biggest city falls. And the West's dream of toppling President Assad will be over. But taking this vast urban warren will need thousands of soldiers. More likely, Assad's forces will simply pound it into submission from afar, as they did in Homs and parts of Damascus, and as their Russian allies did in Grozny. But civilians in government-held West Aleppo are also being attacked, seemingly indiscriminately, by rebels from the east. This was the Hamdaniya district today, filmed by Russian state television.
Gunmen fire at us regularly. We live like we are in a tinderbox and pray every day that the Syrian army holds the line.
Although pro-government civilians face the terror of bullets, mortars and shells, in the rebel-held east they face the might of the Russian and Syrian Air Force. Incendiary bombs, bunker-busting munitions and barrel bombs, as well as shells, mortars and bullets.
But what is life like in eastern Aleppo as and after the bombs rain down? We've obtained footage from inside the besieged rebel side of the city as the residents of one suburb emerge into the light after a night of bombing. East Aleppo, Sunday, the morning after the Russian Air Force bombed the neighbourhood of Al-Fados. The water supply is destroyed. Thousands of people are cut off in 90-degree heat. But the boys are loving it. And a pool party unlike any other has started.
وش عم تسووا؟ جايين على المسبح.
Bomb craters and broken pipes have been transformed into an ad hoc swimming pool.
شلون السباحة؟
كويسة.
مبسوطين؟
مبسوطين.
من شو هاي الحفرة صارت؟
هاي ماما شو نزلت وكان مرة ضرب بحارتنا احترقوا بيوت 3 بيوت واحترقت المعدنات بالجامع.
من وين هذا المسبح صار؟
من البرميل. صاروخ المساء الساعة 3:30 شلفوا. خرب البداية تروح عالم خرب عالم هونيك عائلة كلها في أكمل ماتين.
For a moment, they can pretend they're at a water park instead of a war zone. A few yards away, a woman's cries of grief. Her brother is dead beneath the rubble. Up above, her son looks down on where he used to live.
انتوا وين بيتكم؟
تمشي لقدام شوي على وسط الحارة طيب
بيتكم انضرب شيء؟
مليان
ايمت كانت ضربة بيتكم؟
عم بيحب الساعة 2 بالليل
حدا صار له شيء؟
في 7 لهلا ما طلعوا.
Perhaps he doesn't realize it's his family, or perhaps he's in shock. But his uncle knows, and it's all too much. It isn't just bodies they pull from the rubble, but memories of lives before, even if it's a neighbour he didn't know.
تعرفوا شيء لهذا الولد؟
لا
الصورة الثانية لمين؟
ما بعرف.
This is how it is in Aleppo the day after a bomb. And that footage from inside Aleppo was filmed by Wad al-Khatib. Well, earlier I spoke to Karen von Hippel, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State at the US State Department, and now director of the think tank, the Royal United Service Institute, and Yevgeny Minchenko, a Russian political consultant. I began by asking Mr. Minchenko why Russia is helping the Syrian regime to flatten eastern Aleppo.
I would not say that this is a strategy about Aleppo specifically. Russia wants some kind of balance in Syria, as I understand Putin. And Russia does not want an Islamic terrorist in Russia back. So, you know, now we have a war on terror in Russia as well. You presume that they were killed childs in Aleppo and they were killed by Syrian army. I don't any evidence about that. I don't know about that.
Do you think this makes sense as a strategy at all, from a Russian perspective?
I'm not sure what Russia is trying to achieve. I'm not sure they'll be able to end the war. They've been supportive of the regime the whole time. I'm not sure Russia is interested in ending the war, actually. There have been numerous attempts at ceasefires, and none of these have held through. And most of the time it's because Russia hasn't abided by the ceasefire. They kept bombing, and they are killing civilians. I mean, we're watching it on TV, so we have evidence here. We have children, you know, who are being hit, who are injured. I mean, it's a tragedy. Some people even say that there are more civilians killed by Russia than have been killed by ISIL.
So what do you think is the Russian strategy then?
I think they like chaos.
That they want Assad to win, effectively.
They certainly want Assad to win. They want to protect their interests in the region, and Assad is seen as a partner. But I think they also don't mind the chaos in Syria, just as they don't mind chaos in Europe.
It's very complicated. Russia is trying to help its ally, Assad. And of course, Russia is not going to kill any child. And I think that
what do you mean by that? You mean they're not going to do it deliberately? They're not going to target civilians deliberately? Or?
Excuse me, I don't see any evidence of that. And
Do you not watch television? Do you not see the pictures? I mean,
I see television every day. I watch television every day. Also, I work in public relations industry, and I do know how people can spin any facts. And unfortunately, it's not...
Do you think it's all made up?
I don't know.
I mean...
Excuse me, one more time. I don't know for sure what happened there.
What do you make of what's been going on diplomatically over the last week or two? Because, I mean, it's felt a little bit like grandstanding at the end of an administration.
It's grandstanding.
You know, John Kerry saying, you know, pretending that he was on the verge of a breakthrough when the truth is he's just about to be out of a job.
It's grandstanding and Groundhog Day at the same time, because we've seen this so many times before. The problem is because Obama's not willing to back up diplomacy with a credible threat of force, then Kerry just keeps having to go back to the negotiating table. And so that's really the challenge. The separate thing to think about is if the regime does take Aleppo back with the support of Russia or without the support of Russia, the regime can't actually hold on to Aleppo. It's not strong enough. And so it will create a power vacuum that more terrorists will come and fill at the end of the day.
Okay, I mean, can we just consider for a moment a Trump victory in America?
Yeah.
What does that mean for Syria?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's really hard to tell what he would do. It really is hard to tell. I mean, he's at the moment being much more supportive of Russia, certainly than Obama has in public, and Hillary Clinton would. I don't think Russia's the enemy. I mean, everyone would like to work with Russia, and Kerry has been trying very hard to work with Russia. And so it's a question of how do we make sure that the interests of the U.S., the interests of the Syrians, and the interests of the Russia can come together.
What do you make of that particular scenario?
So I guess that if we believe in Trump's words, so he wants to have a more positive relationship with Russia. So, and that's good. But more positive relationship with Russia basing on American national interests. And I think it's important as well. I guess we have only one outcome. We have to negotiate, and it's difficult. And so, of course, it's Groundhog Day. But unfortunately, we have only negotiations as a way to solve this very difficult, very tragic problem.
Thank you very much indeed, both of you.
Thank you.
That's great.
I've been getting